Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, this is Kenya Revolutionary. I just want to make a quick video addressing what really ails Kenya. How can we turn things around? We all know that this regime of Ruto administration will not deliver for Kenyans. We've known that for the past 12 months. Based on that alone, we know that this guy will not deliver. But what's the solution? Because it seems like I've been arguing this, that this Ruto administration is an extension of Uhuru Kenyatta's rule. Yes, there's all these childish games about pointing fingers to the, at each other. The people who are now Azimio, they're saying that they're trying to paint a picture, trying to convince us that Uhuru Kenyatta's governance was better than Ruto. And Ruto is playing the same game by pointing at the wrong things that happened in the previous administration. But what I'm saying, for anyone who is sane and is clear in his thoughts, at least in his analysis or her analysis, if you look keenly at what is going on, this is nothing but the same old crap that we have been served with since the Kenyatta one. Okay? There's a constant in all this, in these administrations, okay? Whether it was Jomo Kenyatta, Moi, Kibaki. Kibaki tried to change things, but he just went back and did the same old thing that Moi was doing. Then came Uhuru, the tyrannical rule by Uhuru Kenyatta. And now we have Ruto. I mean, when Ruto came in, he was talking nice. He was giving really nice speeches, and he actually got people believing that he will bring some change. But it didn't take long. 3 months in, when he started talking about GMOs, I already knew this guy is not different from his predecessors. He was another colonial puppet. And now it's more clearer than ever. I mean, the evidence is so clear, it's ridiculous. You saw him, he went to US, negotiating with Apple and everybody else. Those nonsensical trade deals that will not benefit the common mwananchi. Tell me who, okay, before I even go far, let me just touch on this. I know if you want to find out more about everything that Ruto is doing wrong, you just have to turn into KTN or Citizen TV, any national TV, and go to the internet, you hear Kenyans talk. It's ridiculous. There's so many things that people are discussing that's wrong with this administration. But I just wanted to highlight it one. When he went to the US, lastly, when he went to US, when he met Megan Whitman, okay? And he came back and promised that Google and Apple and Elon Musk company will employ young Kenyans. The skills required for these jobs, most Kenyans cannot qualify for those jobs, okay? Well, let's just face it. But anyway, my whole point is this. We all know that Ruto will not deliver. And the sad thing is this. He will rule for 5 years, and come 2027, he will not be opposed by anyone. Not because there's no one standing up against his presidency or his candidature, but the alternative that we have, the so-called opposition, is toothless, if not part of this colonial cabal, this colonial stooges group, the political elite that are ruled by the West. I'm talking about the Azimio folks. Don't be fooled. I know the diehard Raila fans, Azimio fans, still believe that somehow, if Raila becomes president, he will turn things around and Kenya will be will have a Jeffersonian democracy. No, he won't. He will not be the president. He plays his part. Like I said in my previous video, Raila Odinga's main role is to play the opposition. He is there to clamp down, to block any grassroots movement, opposition movement by the people. That's why you see Raila Odinga always, soon as the election is done, he keeps on with this mandamano and he they create these mandamanos and atrocities to give the idea, to paint a picture as, to make people play with people's emotions, to make people believe that he's actually on opposition. He's not the opposition. Raila Odinga is in cahoots with William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta, and all these corrupt colonial stooges that have been ruling Kenya for a while. Okay? Like I say, after every electioneering period, this guy always have to start this mandamano to create this illusion that, to fool the gullible, that he's always the guy fighting against the corrupt ruling class. But he is part of it. It was very evident after the 2017 elections when he won. Remember, I can't stress this enough, and I always go back to this. I know it's monotonous, and I can't stress this enough. If I haven't, I will hit it on your head till you get it. Picture this. In 2017, he won the election. Kenyatta tried to rig himself in, but the people stood up. Something that had not happened before 2002. Remember 2002? Kenyans stood up against Moi and said, we've had enough, and voted overwhelmingly against Kibaki. Same thing happened in 2007. Okay? Kenyans voted overwhelmingly for Raila Odinga. Okay? But what happened? Yes, there was skirmishes, atrocities, and the West had to come, intervene. All right? Remember that. And then we had a government of national unity, which was essentially an extension of Kibaki's presidency, because Raila just had a title, but he wasn't even powerful. And if you remember, the senior most advisor for Raila Odinga, Dr. Miguna Miguna, mentioned that if Raila wanted to be the president, he should have taken power. You take power. You don't beg or negotiate for power. You take it. Okay? That's what Miguna said. He said Raila did not. He had the opportunity. Then in 2013, again, we know that, first of all, Ruto and Uhuru did not win. They were not qualified because they were facing cases in the ICC. But anyway, they rigged the election. Raila conveniently was late in putting up his evidence and presenting his evidence in court. Then 2017, again, when Uhuru Kenyatta tried to rig himself in, Maraga made the decision that the process wasn't transparent and wasn't free, nor was it fair. So he called for a re-election. But before the re-election was to happen, there was some raft of changes that were supposed to be undertaken, which was not undertaken. In fact, what ended up happening is Uhuru Kenyatta intimidated the judges, shot Mwita's bodyguard, Justice Mwita's bodyguard, okay? And forced Maraga, invited Chebukati in State House, then stood by himself, declared himself the president. The people of Kenya rose again, just like in 2007 and 2002, rose overwhelmingly to support Raila Odinga. And they said that Raila Odinga has to be sworn in as the people's president. The people rose and spoke in unison, with the exception of people of Mount Kenya and Rift Valley. But the whole country was behind Raila Odinga, 80% of the country. And indeed, they went to Uhuru Park and swore him in as the people's president. But what did Raila do? Again, he failed. He did not want to take that power, the sovereign power that was donated to him by the people. Okay? This is a clear indication that this guy does not want to be the president. Not that he doesn't want to be, but he understands his role. The West put him there to be the constant face of the opposition, Kenya's opposition. This is done to deter any real, organic, grassroots, revolutionary movement from coming up. Because remember in 2017, the people who are driving this force to get Raila to be sworn in as the people's president was the NRM Kenya, led by Dr. Miguna. Okay? He was the force behind this, and he swore him in. Carried out the oath proceedings. Okay? But guess what? After Raila Odinga went and met Uhuru Kenyatta, turned his back on these people, guess who was the one person that was grabbed, forcefully detained, and exiled to Canada, away from the country? It was Miguna, because he was identified as the guy who was had a lot of influence, driving this organic grassroots revolutionary movement from the ground. And Raila had no power anymore to stop it. So what he did, he turned his back on the people, went and met Uhuru Kenyatta, and pretended to be still supporting Miguna, while Miguna was jailed and tortured and expelled from Kenya, exiled from Kenya, forcefully exiled from Kenya. He pretended that he was supporting Miguna. But why did they do that to Miguna? Why not other people? It is because Miguna had great influence on the people. So there Raila did his job. Since he became powerless, he turned against Miguna and let Uhuru Kenyatta unleash his deadly forces on the people, while Raila Odinga pretended to be supporting Miguna. So while Miguna was away, Raila Odinga, remember, after that handshake, never even mentioned anything negative about the Uhuru Kenyatta's government from 2017 to 2022. Never said anything. He stopped talking about corruption. He stopped talking about police brutality. He stopped talking about any injustice, Baby Murad, the death of Baby Murad, Msando, and everything else. He never mentioned anything. Why? Because his role was to play the fake opposition, the controlled opposition. Now that Miguna was exiled, Raila Odinga retained his position as the fake opposition. Okay? So come 2022, since he joined hands with Uhuru Kenyatta, the trick was Ruto shall be the guy who breaks off from these guys. That's why the narrative was coined, the hustlers versus the dynasties, while these guys are all the same. So Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta were the dynasty, while Ruto was the hustler guy. Now the hustler won. Yes, he fooled a lot of people, and he won the presidency. He became the president. Okay? Now people are expecting him to go after the people who have been stealing money historically, the corrupt people under Uhuru Kenyatta government, under Kibaki government, under Moi government, under Kenyatta 1 government. What did he do? Ruto, again, continued the policies that Uhuru Kenyatta was carrying out. He went, shook his hands with the West, made sure that the West's interests were secured, and basically let IMF run our economic policy, as David D told us. So this is an extension of Uhuru Kenyatta's rule. Okay? Now it has a Kalenjin face, because before it was the Kikuyu face. All right? But these people are the same. Now, Raila Odinga, since he noticed that he's becoming less famous, he's losing his fame, of course, he waited 5 months to see and tested the ground to see if he still has his position as the main guy in the opposition. He tried the Mandamano. And remember, the first 3 Mandamanos were an abysmal failure. He had to go get Maina Njenga, the Mungiki guy, to help him organize. Ask yourself this, and I'll help you this as I conclude. Ask yourself this. Maina Njenga in 2007 was the guy, the Mungiki guy, who was being paid by Uhuru Kenyatta. If you had to go to the evidence that were being presented in ICC, remember? Maina Njenga was the guy who was unleashing terror on Luos who were being perceived as Raila supporters in Naivasha and Nakuru. Were being butchered and brutalized. Okay? The Mungiki forces that were used by the government as police forces who were sent in Kisumu to brutalize and murder, dump bodies in River Yala in Kisumu. Maina Njenga was operating this. Now this Maina Njenga now in 2022-23, who was killing Raila supporters, is now shaking hands and sharing the podium table with Raila Odinga. They are now buddies. Any normal person, if you are really, let's say you're a real kingpin for the Luo Nyanza people, would you even sit down with Maina Njenga? Maina Njenga never apologized for what he did. He never. He came up and said, oh, he's saved and all that. We all know it's bullcrap. That's a classic example showing you that these guys were playing us. They will not stop at anything. That's why you see Raila Odinga is comfortable with the idea of being in the position. That is his role. That's what the Western people, the British, the Americans, these colonial masters of Raila Odinga, that they employed Raila Odinga to be the official opposition, to deter any grassroots, organic, revolutionary movement from taking up the official opposition. Because if we have a strong opposition, Ruto will not stand a chance in 2027. But as it is now, Ruto will rule. So what's the solution? The solution is this: reject Azimio, reject Kenya Kwanza. The focus so far is there's so much talk, with everybody spending so much time mentioning all the wrong things that this Ruto administration is doing. It's a waste of time. We know they're doing wrong, but why can't you take that precious time and organize? Okay? Organize against these two fake governments. And I'm talking about Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. Let's organize and reject both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza folks. Let us have people who are incorruptible. Okay? Let us gather around, like in 2002 when we rejected Moi, like in 2007 when we rejected Kibaki, like in 2017 when we rejected Uhuru Kenyatta. Let's reject Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. And have people who are not afraid to confront the issues that really ail Kenyans. What are the issues that ail Kenyans? I'll finish with this. I don't want to make this video long. Number one, the historical wrongs must be made right. What do I mean? Number one, the land issue. Okay, we can read the Kriegler report, Waki report, all that. Ndungu report, okay? Number 2, corruption. The people who are corrupt that we know are corrupt are in power today, and as the one that's got away with it, like Matiang'i, should be brought to justice. And justice, the justice that we should render to these guys should be severe. Up to hanging. 3, the national debt. We should audit the national debt and see how much we really owe. The money that these guys approved illegally on behalf of the Kenyan Republic, they should be held responsible for that. Article 225 of the Constitution 9 says that any person that has misappropriated public funds is solely responsible as the individual to pay that back. So Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto, Moi, Kenyatta 1, Kibaki, and his minions that worked for him. Any loan that they took from IMF that was not legally approved, they should be held responsible for that, not the taxpayers. Prosecution of the guilty. These guys, like the Kenyatta family, and many others, Matiang'is of this world, that are guilty of human rights violation, gross human rights violation, should be brought to justice. They should not be given immunity. They should be prosecuted, hanged, to show that people, we are serious about this. If a child in Samburu or Laikipia dies of hunger just because some asshole in the government is willing to use the money that's supposed to feed the child, then it is only fair that this person that has used the money that's supposed to feed the children is supposed to also face the guillotine, should be hanged to death. There should be no reason in 2023 any child in Kenya or in Africa, for that matter, should die of hunger. People like Bill Gates should not be anywhere near the African continent selling the GMO nonsense that is selling. Africa should be independent from these people, the West. You see, Ruto is doing their bidding. He's a colonial puppet. The dollar is collapsing. It's worthless. It's not a reserve country. There's no reserve. But that's another point. Number 6, the new leaders should empower the Mwananchi. There shall be more participation in governance by the Wananchi. The rules, the laws that are in place in regards to how we can recall these MPs, MCAs, senators, governors, should be simpler. We should be able to recall a governor if we feel that in 3 days he has not done his job. Empower the people. Okay? You see what's happening in these governors. Orengo is stealing 100 million. Nanok is stealing billions of shillings. This has to stop. But anyway, I don't want to make this video long. What I'm saying in summation is this. We need to stop this nonsense of Azimio versus Kenya Kwanza, the tribal nonsense that we keep on having. Going on TV, radio stations every day, complaining about what Ruto is doing wrong, why is he lying to us and all that. We all know he's a colonial puppet. The alternative is definitely not Raila Odinga and his cows on the Azimio side. We all know they're also compromised. They're just as useless. In fact, they're in cahoots with Ruto. and Kenyatta. So the solution is we should galvanize, come together, like we did, like Kenyans rose in 2002 when we rose against President Toroitich Arap Moi, like we rose against Kibaki in 2007, like we rose against Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in 2017. It is time to rise again and remove these corrupt, irredeemably corrupt misanthropes, colonial stooges, puppets, lobotomized parrots. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, share, like, comment. Tell me what you think, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.